Welcome back to another Interview Wednesday here on Turnbuckle Trash Talk. I am the officiant, Kent, and joining me at this time is one half of the international superstars, the Dream Girl Ellie. Ellie, thank you so much for joining me, first off.
This is just proof how awkward I am, by the way. Sorry, guys.
But we have so much to talk about because you've barely been in the business more than a year and a half.
Yeah.
And you've already traveled across the world.
Yep.
Across the United States.
Yep.
You've worked with a variety of female opponents, a variety of male opponents.
Yep.
You've done more than a lot of people can say they've done in their entire careers in the independents, and only in about 18 months. That's absolutely
we can just
amazing.
Stop the interview right there. You put me over enough, we're done. All right, bye, guys. No.
But I want to take it back to the very, very beginning. When did you first discover wrestling? What's your first wrestling memory?
All right, I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but I hated wrestling. Sorry, I totally did. I have 3 brothers, and they all watched it growing up. And I came in like 2013, so I was like, oh gosh, no, 2012. I was 13. Jesus. And it was a Monday, and I think Randy Orton was returning from some like neck surgery or something. And I walked in, and I was watching it, and I was like, this is awful. Turn it off. Like, I don't want to watch this. It's so stupid. I thought it was the dumbest thing that's ever been invented. And I just walked away. And then, like, it was on the next week, and the next week, and the next week. And then, like a month later, I was like, all right, let me just sit down and watch this, and let me just complain the whole time, so maybe they'll turn it off type thing. But then I actually sat down and started watching it. Thought it was kind of cool. And then that was, like, my mindset. I was like, all right, I kind of want to do this.
So it was kind of like that annoying little brother that was in your life like the
Yeah.
whole time, but it was like later on in life that
There was
you
the
finally
moment.
you gained an appreciation for it. You were like, man,
Yeah.
that irritated the shit out of me my whole life. But for
Exactly.
some reason, I couldn't live without it at a certain
worked.
point.
I like wrestling more than I like my brother, so yeah.
Well, there you go. Did you have any favorites at that point after that?
I was young, so I had a crush on Randy Orton. I can't believe I just said that. AJ Lee, I had like a weird lady crush on her, to the point that I got her logo tattooed on my back. Hey, look, the lights went off. You guys can't see it, but I got distracted really easily.
Was there a particular moment where you decided this is something I actually want to pursue or do? Like, did you see a certain match, or were you influenced by certain performers, or did just something happen where you were like, okay, now I actually have to do this? I have to
just
be a
kind
part
of-
this.
Says that, I'm gonna come in real fast. Say hi.
This
How's it
boy.
going?
What's
How's
up?
it going, everybody? Hi, how you guys doing, Ellie? Here, I'm sorry.
Well, it was going good, and then that happened.
It's all right. We got to get it back now.
All right, so guys, funny story. No, the lights are still off in here. You guys can't tell again, but
Anyway, particular moment or
sorry.
time where you were like, now I actually have to try and get into this. I have to do this.
I kind of just thought it was cool, and then I was like, oh, when I turn 18, I'm going to become a wrestler. And I had told my dad, and he was like, no, you're not. He was like, you're going to quit the first day. So I turned 18. It was like 5-6 years later or whatever it is. And I went to training, came back the first day, was ready to quit. But my dad was like, hey, how was it? And I was like, oh, it was great. But I just like had to lie because I didn't want him to be right, because I'm one of those people. And I went back like 2 days later, and I hated it still because I thought I was going to die. And I just kept sticking with it just out of spite. Like, that sounds so awful, but I literally just did it
Like,
to
I don't want to prove him
I
right.
was like, you know what, Dad, you're going to be wrong one day. You're going to be wrong. And then I guess he was wrong.
Did you have any previous like history of sports or cheerleading or any kind of
I used
athletic?
to dance. Okay, I got to name this off because it was ballet, hip-hop, acrobatics, jazz, point, and another one. Oh, I did theater. I played baseball. We're burning stuff down.
Well, all of that stuff actually does have an
I'm really
influence
bendy.
in the wrestling.
That sounds so creepy, but it like the flexibility from acrobatics helps. Ballet, in a weird way, has helped me like center myself when I'm turning and doing stuff. I don't really know how like to explain it, but
Well, yeah, a lot of football players also take dance
Yeah.
classes because it helps with, body awareness
Yeah.
and coordination and balance, and all of that stuff is
Sorry.
kind of important. But also, I'm glad that you mentioned theater because I also come from a theater background.
Oh, look at that.
And theater is so important in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
What did you do in theater, and how do you think it helped you benefit?
I was in like plays and musicals and stuff a lot. So, sorry, someone's dying over there. I get really distracted. But I did plays and stuff, and that was kind of helped me like be in front of people, because I used to have I still do. I have like weird anxiety, and I don't like people that much. Sorry, but I don't. So it's like being in front of people, I always like panic. Like you can see me backstage like right before my music hits. I'm like having a panic attack, and I'm just like sitting there, and I just like squat down as soon as my music hits, and then I'm just like, all right, this is either gonna really, really, really well, or I'm gonna die. So, yeah, and then I just kind of go out there, and then like once I hit the ring, I'm like just there, so it works, which I think is like kind of helps. Like you get that panic before you go out, but then like once the curtain opens, you have no choice but to do what you got to do.
Where did you start training? Who did you start training with? What was that experience like for you? You said you hated it, but you stuck with it because you wanted to prove your dad wrong.
Yeah.
But who were you training under? Where were you training?
So I originally trained in Fort Myers, but then like a year later, I moved to Tampa because I was like, well, I'm not going to go anywhere in Fort Myers. Sorry. But that's where I am at Blanco, and then I was training at the WWN school with Matt Seidel, and then the Wild Samoan Training Center with AFA, the Wild Samoan, and with Blanco a lot too. And then I started traveling with him and stuff. And
Well, yeah, and then you joined the International Superstars, and
I don't know
almost
how I pulled that off, guys.
immediately, right out the gate, you start traveling. Like within your first year, you had already been
Yeah.
to several different states, and were already planning like international tours.
I feel so special.
That's like a whirlwind of activity and experience to get.
So there's sometimes I just like sit at home and I'm like, how have I pulled this off so far? I don't know how. I don't know what I'm doing, to be honest, guys. It just isn't working somehow.
I've conned everybody into thinking I actually do this to the point that they'll
that I
pay
get
me
to
to travel.
Go to England, yeah. I don't know how. Because I started traveling with Blanco. I had done a show here. We had matching gear accidentally, and I was like, oh, well, I guess that means I'm a superstar now. And he was like, no, the fuck you're not. And I was like, oh, shit, okay. So then he was like, well, we're going to Alabama this weekend. Do you want to jump in the car? And I was like, yeah, sure. At the time, I was working a Monday through Friday job. I was like, I have weekends off. Let me do something. I don't have friends. I lived in Tampa by myself. So that's so depressing. But I started traveling with them. I didn't really do much for I think I started traveling with them the end of May. I was not on a show until July, the middle-ish end of July, and I was literally just setting up and just sitting there. I don't have a problem with it, because it was hey, she didn't get used, but she's still coming back. So maybe if there's a spot that we need her in, we can use her. So then July I started actually getting to travel and work shows with them, managing most of it, having a match every now and then, but mostly just getting to travel and stuff, which is kind of cool. And then we got matching gear, purposely got matching gear in September, October-ish, and they're like, oh, I guess you're a superstar now. And I was like, well, fuck me.
Right.
I did that, guys. I pulled that off. I don't know how.
Well, that's something a lot of people take for granted, is how important it is to just get your face out there. Even if you're not
Yeah.
on a show, go to as many shows as you can, hop in as many cars as you can.
Exactly.
And it's expensive. Yeah, you're not making money, but you're getting seen. You're meeting
Yeah.
the right people. You're making these connections. And I almost say on a showly basis, there's going to be a spot that opens up. Whether they
Exactly.
want to add a dark match or whether someone misses the show, there's almost always going to be a spot that opens up. And if you're the
Yeah.
person who's shown themselves to be consistently there, consistently willing, you're going to be the first person they think of to fill that slot.
Exactly. Because it's this random nobody showed up. My first trip was to Alabama. And they were like, we don't have anything for her. I was like, that's okay. Like, I completely understand. 6 weeks later, they had like earned the
You'd earn their respect,
that's the way. Yeah.
and vice versa.
Yes. And I was like, they were like, oh, well, we have this spot for you, like, to be a manager, and then you're going to get involved in the match. Is that okay? And I was like, yes, of course. Like, thank you so much. But they weren't just going to, like, randomly throw me something the first, like, 2 minutes they saw me. They're going to be like, no, because she could just come in here and think she just owns the place and be a bitch, and we don't want that. So then they, like, realized, like, I was showing up and traveling for 6 weeks with these guys doing nothing. And they're like, oh, well.
We can
and then,
do
like,
something with that.
another girl had shown up that was on the show before and stuff. So then, like, a couple weeks after that, I got to, like, actually have a match and stuff. And it was like, it worked. But that's, like I'm a nobody. I'm really, really, really green still. But, like, some people are just like, oh, what's your advice? Because you've got to do all this stuff. And I'm like, get in a car. Like, I don't even care if it's 20 minutes down the street. Get in a car, because
Those are the easiest to do when it's
Oh
just
my
down the
God.
street. I mean, when you got to travel for a whole weekend just to be on one show or just to show
Yeah.
up. But when it's like in state,
yeah.
you're just, it's one night. And if you love wrestling, who cares? You're going to be at a
Exactly.
show. Like, that's fun.
And it's like, that's like my thing is I'm always like, try to do what you can. Like, for us, like for Blanco and I, then like our normal everyday drive at this point is a minimum of 7 hours. So it's usually like, oh gosh, thankfully, we're flying this time to Chicago on Saturday, or Friday. And then we're flying to North Carolina, and then we're flying back to Orlando. That's our weekend. But a couple weeks ago, I'm going to say like right before Christmas, I saw snow for the first time in Chicago.
First time ever.
First time ever.
Wow.
Yeah, because like I purposely don't go to cold states, guys. I live in Florida, born and raised. Like, no. But we were in like South Carolina Friday, North Carolina. I can't do Saturday, and then we had to drive from North Carolina to Chicago. And then we did a show Sunday night in Chicago, woke up Monday morning, and I look outside, I was like, it's snowing. And I was like, fuck.
I don't know how to dress for this.
I was like, I had leggings and like a jacket because it wasn't supposed to snow. And I was like, and then I was like, hey, I can't drive in snow. I can barely drive in rain. So I'm like, how are we? And he's like, well, I guess I'm going to drive first. So from Chicago all the way down to Florida, it was either snowing and dark or raining and dark. And I felt like I almost killed Blanco my 17 times because I felt really, it was.
But that's the kind of
Longest drive.
season you get on the road.
Yeah, I was like,
have
hey, look,
to
guys,
learn.
real seasons. I don't know how this works, but I think the drive there, like from Chicago home, was 23 hours. So I think that was my longest drive, but.
Let's talk about your first match, though. What was that experience like for you? What do you remember about it? Who did you face?
Catalina
how do you
Perez
think it
at
went?
ACW.
Yeah, what were your feelings going into it, and how do you feel like it went after
I thought
it?
I was going to puke. I still feel that way. When I have matches, I always I get this weird, I'm going to puke, I need to cry, I need to sit in the corner feeling. And I get really anxious and stuff. But that first match, I was like, no. And then my music hit, and I had no choice but to go out there. And I was panicking the whole entire time. I'm so sorry. And it happened. But I watched it back a couple days ago. Yeah. That's just
Well,
yeah.
I've had people on this show say that they, pooped their pants the first match they had, that they were caught
Theoretically,
changing in the
yes.
bathroom by a family at whose birthday party they were working.
God.
There's been a lot of horror stories. And I
I
actually
really want to
remember
know
your
who
first
this
match.
is.
Because I was reffing.
Yeah,
and I thought
'cause it was
pretty
at
good. I mean,
ACW.
for a first match, that's a
Oh,
lot
God.
to say, So, what's the best trip you've had? Where was it? Who were you facing? What was your best road story, so to speak?
So there's this one that the wonderful Blanco and Richie Pepperfield, was it Richie or was it, oh my God, no, it was Speedy. It might have been everybody. I don't even know anymore. So this is not a match. This is a post-match story. Well, post-show story. Well, we were at Wildcat in Louisiana, and Tommy Dreamer was there, and he made this like joke before there's like he did a promo, and he was like, "Hey, we're gonna party like it's 1998." And I've never like had an entire locker room hate me as soon as I said this. I was like, "Hey guys, I was born in '99. Can I still party?" I thought I was gonna get kicked out, but it gets better. We ended up like getting food, going back to the hotel, and while they were all eating, I was like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna go shower." I went and showered. I locked the door. I always lock the door because I don't know. I just lock doors. That's who I am. I try opening the door.
I can't imagine why.
Right? I try opening the door. Well, the door locked, and it broke, and I can't get out. And I ended up like knocking on the door. I'm like, "Guys," and they're like, "Yeah." I was like, "Hey, I need help." And they're like, "Why?" "I'm locked in the bathroom." So they ended up, they died. They thought it was hilarious. I take really, really hot showers, so there's like a bunch of steam and heat in this room. I'm about to pass out, I feel like, because it's so hot. My phone's about to die, so I'm like, I'm going to die in here. I'm going to die in here. So they ended up having to like call down. The person that was like there to fix it had to do something, and I was like stuck in this bathroom for like 45 minutes. And then like the guy just like randomly shows up, knocks on the door. The boys are laughing, and they're like taking videos of me like panicking in the bathroom right here. And he ends up showing up like 45 minutes later and just like knocking the door handle off, and I was like, we could have done this 45 minutes ago.
They could have broken the door down if we're gonna just do that.
I was like, are you serious? I was like, we could have just called and been like, "Hey, she's locked in the bathroom. We're going to break the door handle off." They would know. I hate Jared Diaz. But I was like, what? That's what I had to almost die for. And that's one of their favorite stories to tell, because now every time I lock the door, before I close it, I'll hit like the lock button and then make sure I can unlock it again, and then I'll actually close the door all the way.
Sure.
Because I have like a really bad fear of it now.
So I'm going to ask you kind of a tough question. Since you started out on such a hot streak at the beginning, is there any kind of fear that maybe the peak has come really early? Or like,
yes,
like
listen.
How do you feel heading forward from here? Because it's going to be really hard to top your first 2 years. I mean, like I said, there's people who've gone their entire careers and not done what you've already done under the age of 21. And in your first 2 years of wrestling, like, how do you deal with that? What are you thinking, like, heading forward?
I kind of get, hey, we'll fight. I will fight you all.
Hey, we're doing an interview over here, all right?
Yes. Sorry, they're mocking me. There we go. Sorry, they were mocking my little, like, here we go. So, yeah, I'm really scared about that, because I feel like I don't want it to just be like, "Oh, well, there she goes," and like her, like my flame kind of burn out. But this is not announced, so this is a secret. There's a chance that we're going to Japan and Australia
That's
this
exciting.
year. Ha ha. There's a chance there's some other things that are gonna happen that I can't really talk about.
Well, and you've been backstage at NXT, like you've done some pretty amazing things in this short period of time.
Yeah.
And I think it's natural in wrestling for, careers to have highs and lows.
It's like a roller
so,
coaster,
you might hit a low and then you just build yourself back up. But I think what's going to be one of the biggest challenges for you, I think, is that you've never experienced a low yet.
I know. Like, I've had like my moments of like
personal
shit
lows or
stuff.
like
And like one of my, oh my gosh, like 7 months into wrestling, I broke my rib and I like had to call out of like a company, and I was like so upset about it. And like, so like I've had like little lows, but I'm like, I don't want the big low where it's like, well, she just faded into oblivion and no one knows who she is again.
It. She was one-hit wonder sort of deal.
Exactly.
What's the goal for you, though? What do you want long-term out of wrestling? Like, are you happy just doing what you're doing? Are you, like, wanting to be in the WWE or AEW?
Yeah. So, like, I'm happy where we are now because, like, we're traveling
constantly.
the world.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be that person, but I don't work. I just wrestle. So like that's basically my job. So like I can pay my bills with that and like live off wrestling. So that's nice. But like, yeah, I want to get signed one day, and like, and not even for like, oh, I want all this money, huh? I don't really like. Honestly, I don't care about the money.
You want that experience, that
Yeah,
moment.
I want to be like top of the world moment, and I just want to. I want to be like a AJ Lee, Randy Orton type thing, and someone to be like, hey, because of her, I want to be a wrestler, and I want to like this. This has to do with the money, but it's not for personal things. I want to help pay off my mom's mortgage and pay like my dad's health bills type thing, so we can just like they don't have to worry about that anymore.
That's really, really admirable, actually, because everybody thinks of like, oh, I have a specific car picked out that I'm going to buy with my first,
I have a
WWE check.
2011 Toyota Corolla, and as long as it starts, I'm going to keep it.
But you want to help your family with that kind of
Yes.
money. You're thinking about the future of your family and like making
Yes.
sure everybody's taken care of. And I think
I'm
that's
not
really
one of these like, hey, let me go buy this giant house. I don't plan on being there. I'll get in a 1-bedroom studio apartment. Like I don't care. Like I want a bed. That's all I care about. I'm not one of these like, hey, I need 17 houses in 17 different states. Yeah.
So I'm going to wrap up by asking you the 4 questions I ask everybody at the end of the interview. Number
Okay.
1, what's your kind of opinion about the wrestling world in general right now? We're in the Wednesday Night Wars. You know, there's more wrestling than you can shake a stick at on TV or on the internet. What's kind of your feeling? Because a lot of people say, you know, they feel like we're heading into a boom or we're in a boom or that there's too much wrestling. Kind of what's your thoughts on that?
As long as it's good wrestling, I don't feel like there's too much, because not everybody has an AEW taste. Not everybody has a WWE taste. So it's nice that everybody can figure out what they want to see and that there's different options of like what they want, because someone can be like, oh, I hate Chris Jericho, so they're going to watch this out of like WWE out of spite, or oh, I hate, oh my gosh, I'm drawing like Kevin Owens, so I'm going to watch AEW. But it's like you have the option of doing,
There's something for everybody.
yeah. And then like there's other companies and stuff too. So it's like you don't even have to watch the top companies. You can go watch New Japan. You can watch Ring of Honor. You can watch Impact. You can just watch indie shows. Like you have so many options that is so cool that it's not like you have this one thing and that's what you have to watch. And like the company also themselves, they have to pick up their wrestling abilities and qualities and show level, because if they don't, they're gonna fade into oblivion.
Yeah,
So it's
competition
like-
makes everybody better.
Exactly.
You got to put your best
Everybody's
foot
up,
forward.
stepping it up, no matter where they are. So
What misconceptions or illusions did you have about wrestling before you actually got involved with it? Like, oh, I thought that wouldn't hurt, and it did. Or
I took
thought we'd make
Legos
more
on
money.
Sunday, and I thought they were gonna not hurt as bad as they did. Now, like just like weird little things, like I knew getting hit was gonna hurt, but like there's certain like bumps that you take, and like you'll get thrown a certain way, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That's not supposed to hurt as much as it was, right? Like, it doesn't look like it hurts that bad, but then it actually does. And I'm like even like little things like body slams and stuff, I'm like, oh, that doesn't really, I was like, it's like you're really close to the ground. No, you're not.
Yeah.
Like, it hurts.
It
This
still
stuff
hurts every time. If you
Yeah.
could give one piece of advice to someone who was looking to get involved with wrestling, what would you tell them?
Find a good training school where it's not a money grab, where they actually care about,
Do your research.
yeah, like where they actually care about training you. And it's like they're actually going to be there for you. It's not going to be like, oh, you paid me $7,000, haha, here's this random guy that's going to train you for the next 7 months. Find someone who's going to like be there and has a good resume, I guess, like of wrestling, like who you know. Not saying like, oh, you got to go pick these top guys who are signed here and here. Like, just make sure like the guy knows what he's doing, or girl, sorry, like that they know what they're doing and they're not just gonna like,
Take your money and run.
yeah.
If you could change one thing about wrestling, whether it's backstage, fan perception, in the ring, anything, what would you change?
Oh God. Not to be like the cliche person, but like there's been a lot of drama been going on lately. Why can't everyone just get along? And like just I want everyone to respect each other, because just because you're on this show and I'm on this show doesn't mean you're better than me, doesn't make me better than you. Like, everyone just needs to, like, have the same level of respect for everyone. And, like, don't get me wrong, like, your respect is earned, but, like, don't walk in here being like, oh, she's only been working a year and a half, I'm so much better than her. And I'm not going to walk in being like, oh, you've been working 7 years, I'm better than her, and I've been working a year and a half. I'm not. Just, like, equal respect for fans, wrestlers, producers, writers, anybody.
To be successful, I feel like, yeah, it's competitive in the ring, but outside of the ring, it needs to be a team effort.
Like, don't get me wrong, everyone's trying to be the best, but you can also help other people while you're trying to be the best. That's what I'm saying. Like, get in a car. No one's going to be like, oh, you worked this show or you did a punch better than me. You can't get in my car. If you're like
and no
that,
one's going to turn down gas money.
Dude, like, if you're going to split a hotel, if you're going to split gas money, if you're going to help pay for food and stuff, jump in my car. I don't care if you slip in the trunk. Like, you can sit anywhere. Like, and that's the other thing. Like, just help other people, no matter where you are in your career. If you're 7 years in, help someone who's like, hey, can you watch my match? Don't be like, no, I'm better than you. Sorry, I can't do it.
Now we're going to wrap things up with the segment referee Tony Stabile has named Take It Home. I want you to plug all your social media, promotions where people can find you, anything you want people to look up. Facebook,
that's a good question. All right.
Twitter.
So my Instagram and my Twitter is _Ellie. My Facebook is the Dream Girl Ellie. And then Blanco's over there, so he's going to know that I didn't say it. But you got to follow the International Superstars on Facebook. Follow his Twitter, which is Real Blanco Loco. His Instagram, which is The Blanco Loco. And then Blanco Loco on Facebook. We are in Chicago this weekend. We're in North Carolina. I don't know where. That sounds so bad. I know it's Chicago-style wrestling. We're in Ace on Saturday. We're at AML next week, where I have Evilisi. So that's going to be fun. But that's where we are. We're at ACW a lot, as you can tell. So we're kind of all over. But
well,
yeah.
Ellie, thank you so much for joining me. And thank you guys for watching another Interview Wednesday here on Turnbuckle Trash Talk.
Yay.